So I started the recording. So welcome everyone for meeting 7 actually of Agent Protocol. And we have a few discussion things kind of want to get the group's opinion on. One is we are potentially, I don't know if you guys saw in the channel in general, someone is proposing a new type of standard protocol. Essentially is metadata store for models. And so like he identified, I believe the person's name is Eric. He identified a list of projects that has a bunch of duplicate code that's looks different, but it's essentially doing the same thing. And then from that, we are thinking we've been kind of working with Alan to kind of set up a separate repo to host model metadata. So metadata as in like knowledge cutoff date, how many tokens, these type of things, to be stored in a central repository so that people can just call into it rather than having to write their own. And I think this is a really good project. And as a side of this, I was wondering if it makes sense. I know that many meetings ago, we made the decision to split up the repo into their own repo, like Python SDK has their own repo, JavaScript SDK, client, etc. I was wondering if it makes sense and to hear the group's opinion to like consolidate it back into one so that we can have other projects as well. And so when people view our AI Engineer Foundation's page, they won't be seeing kind of too many projects that are agent protocol related. They should be able to see like we host a few different projects, all quite different. So curious to hear what people think.
Hey, Sasha. I think that monorepos are the way to go, really.
Well, you said that there isn't really another way to go.
No, I meant that is the way to go.
Oh, okay, got it.
Having lots of individual repos, I think, ends up getting a bit messy,
Yeah,
as you are discovering.
yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, I've been using monorepos preferentially recently, but yeah, I don't know enough about the inner workings here to really comment too much.
Yeah, there is. Zane was telling me that there is another benefit, which is someone is writing a Discord bot, and the Discord bot kind of can only interact with one repo. And so if we have our repos so spread out, it's kind of hard to kind of have the Discord bot. I mean, this is an implementation detail. I'm sure, like if you want it to work, it can, but it's just easier to integrate. It's unnecessary complexity, in my opinion. We were originally, the decision was made to copy the way that GraphQL is run. But GraphQL by itself is just GraphQL, right? So it's not like an umbrella. It has like GraphQL related tools and stuff, but it's still just GraphQL. And since AI Engineer Foundation is going to host other types of projects, I think it makes sense to do monorepo. Hi, Zing, I just saw you join. Welcome. We were discussing whether we wanted to have monorepo back, and it seems like the group is pretty for the idea. So
Sounds good.
cool. I'll hand it off to you to like lead the meeting if that's okay. We just talked about point 1.
Let me see.
Oh, yeah, people were writing the langchain update. So John is working on the JavaScript. I'm happy to kind of work on Python side. I'm better at Python than JavaScript. So I'll take a look at your John. I'll take a look at your proposal and like dig into the code base a bit more. and
Yeah, sounds
I'll
good.
likely reach out for some questions.
Okay, yeah, let me know. I haven't done much work on it this week, and that's basically my update. I did see that langchain has a templates sort of repository or subsection that they are pushing, so I might see if that's a good opportunity to integrate with them. But yeah,
And this
no
is
real updates.
this is in JavaScript, right?
The templates are actually only in Python right now, but there's no reason it couldn't also be in TypeScript.
Okay, can you send me can you maybe like we have a langchain thread on Agent Protocol, maybe like post all the new things there so that we can like keep track of updates, if that's okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so Zane, you and HJ are gonna work on the CLI, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like we'll have something going, right, HJ? Have you taken a look at that PR? Oh, well, I'm sure we'll get to it.
Cool. Hi Nick. Hi Hunter. Do you guys have anything that you guys want to talk about? Otherwise, we're just going through the Agent Protocol meeting agenda, which I posted in the chat.
I don't have anything in particular, Swifty or Hunter.
If there want to discuss, I'll add it on the end of the agenda.
Cool.
If that's okay.
Yeah, I'm just listening in today.
Awesome. So the AutoGen update, it seems like they already added our GitHub. Like I created an issue like many months ago. It seems like they already added it as a roadmap, but I'm not super sure how else to follow up other than the creating the issue. So Agent Protocol. Let's see if it's still open. Wait, maybe it was closed. Let's see. Huh. GitHub search really suck. Okay, it's added by the roadmap. Yeah. GagB added it to the roadmap. Here's the issue. Let me post it in the chat. Oops. HJ says, in our team we use monorepo, but that's for TypeScript only. I love monorepo. And another benefit for monorepo is that we can share some test payload for other languages. Nick, if you wanna do it, I'm currently doing the langchain integration, so we would love help from people to do it if that's something that you have bandwidth for. Are you self-volunteering? Or can someone self-volunteer to do AutoGen integration? Sounds good. Nick said that he will take a look at it later on. So I will put this under Nick. When would you have bandwidth, just so that I am aware? Steve's not here. And when is that, Nick? You said that settled from. Okay, is it like a week, a month, a year?
Hopefully not a year.
So a month?
I have some of the AutoGPT team members staying with me right now.
Okay.
So whenever they head out, my availability would be a lot bigger.
Okay.
But I have no context for when they're leaving.
Oh, okay. Just let us know whenever you know.
Yep, will do.
Swifty, do you want to talk about your point?
Yes, please. Thank you. So I've been thinking about the limitations around the agent protocol at the moment, and where I see really how agent interaction is going. And I've given just a very brief summary there. But if you think about how you use ChatGPT, especially with the code interpreter or the search, you'll notice that there's a chat that you're having, and then it spins up this little box, and then it does some sort of task, and then it uses the output of that task to finish the conversation with you. And what I'm thinking is that we'll massively expand the capability of the agent protocol by adding this concept above a task, where what I'm calling a chat. So the chat can spin up tasks, and those tasks then can be executed along those steps, so that you could essentially have an assistant type agent that starts doing tasks for you and then delivers those tasks. And the reason I just wanted to bring it up here less formally than a GitHub issue is I wanted to get a sense of what people feel about that idea.
Personally, in my agent system, I also I have a goal concept, so it's something that is sort of a step higher than just tasks or a set of tasks. I think it's helpful.
I'm curious, I don't personally really like that. I like the idea of this higher level thing, but I don't personally really like the term chat. But if it could be a goal, like, I could be on board. But curious to hear what other people think.
So one of the reasons I use the word chat rather than goal is what I'm thinking this concept kind of is an ongoing interaction with something. So I would have thought task and goal were interchangeable kind of in my mind, but I wanted a term that implied something more ongoing.
I don't know about the semantics of it. Goal or chat doesn't really matter, and I'm bad at naming things. But I was just trying to get across that I think it would be useful that to have a higher level orchestrating layer that does represent this sort of, like you said, ongoing interactions back and forth potentially for longer periods.
So, looking into this, or like looking how this should be used, would this be something I have one of these at a time, and my entire state with the agent was within this? Or is this something where my agent can access it? Right? I just want to make sure we're on the same page here. Like, how do you envision this being used? I guess is the question.
I would envision it being used that, say you're having one interaction with an agent about making a business. That would be under this conceptual grouping. And then you may have multiple tasks being spun up to help you with that. But then you may have another one of these groupings because you want to talk about, I don't know, a health issue, and you wanted to research things and spin up different tasks to find out things.
Almost like a folder with shared context.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's good as well.
And also something to hold the results of your, chat or goal is useful, like artifacts in the agent protocol, and then shared configuration and context is useful as well.
Almost like a workspace.
So if we add that to the agent protocol, does that fall on the agent creators to now implement this new functionality of being able to have this shared tasks within a workspace and context needs to be shared, or what does that look like from a protocol perspective?
From a protocol perspective, I'd imagine what that looks like is, I'm just going to quickly grab something from the protocol so we can see it. I'm going to use the document just so we have at the beginning of my part, so we can see what I was talking about here. So if you have this as a route that we have at the moment, I would imagine, I'm just going to use just concepts to not pick on a word.
Are you sharing your screen somewhere?
No, I'm just modifying the document that we've shared.
Oh, okay.
I'll change the color to red so people can see it. Oh, bad red. This is kind of what I would guess it would look like. So it would, but also it'd be V2 because it is a breaking change. It would look something like that. And I do think it would be a V2 protocol rather than just an addition to V1 because it is a big change.
More like what does, from an agent creator perspective, what does that change look like for them in terms of like functionality for their agent? Is what I'm trying to understand.
I feel like this would be an optional endpoint. Craig, how would you feel about dropping agent from that path, keeping concept, and associating agents with concepts? So go concept agent. That way, it could be backwards compatible. So concept would be the first keyword there. And everything along the concept router would share the context of each agent within that route. Right? So you do concept ID, and then agents ID. Are you following?
So in that, there's multiple agents under each concept?
There could be. The concept is a higher level organizational structure in that way.
I do follow, and I see the reasoning that could actually be quite flexible.
Wait, okay, so Nick, are you in the doc? I'm just proposing I'm not proposing alternatives, I'm just questions. So like we have 1,
Yeah, go for it.
2, and 3 here. Which one are you talking about? You're talking about 2, right?
2. Sorry, it's loading. I am talking about 2. Yes.
But why not 3? How do you like an agent can execute, like if the goal is like find me a job, right? The concept could be first concept could be first identify what your job ideal job title is, and the second concept could be figuring out what your like criteria of a company, how big it is, and then third concept could be browsing the internet for like job sites, right? Like all of that is like different concepts in under one agent.
Right. I guess from my perspective, I would likely have multiple agents working on the same concept simultaneously, rather than have the same agent working on multiple concepts simultaneously.
I see.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Okay, so what you do, John, is have multiple agents working on the same concept.
Yeah, I split a larger goal up into subtasks and then have multiple agents, running at the same time potentially, or different kinds of agents that are doing different steps in the entire plan.
Okay, got it. So there's this so we can keep coming up with encapsulation to to have the concepts folded under right now we're coming up with concept that has task folded under, but I'm curious how does a group think about this chaining concept? So the task can be, so instead of kind of creating another level, we can it's kind of like a pointer, the task can point to the next task. How do people think about that? Because I see that as another alternative.
I see iterating over that being very difficult for any front end purpose, right? It's kind of like whenever you programmed your first linked list way back, in CS 101. You're going to have a lot of the same problems, I feel like, of hey, I want to get all the items. It's cool, traverse the list. I don't know. Unless we design the protocol in a really specific way, I could see that being burdensome for implementing.
Okay. Yeah, I think. What do the rest of the people? What does Zane think, and what does HJ think? And why? What does Y think?
I think that most of this sounds better as a plugin, that we should be focusing on the plugin system rather than this concept thing as part of the core protocol, personally. Just because it's more niche. It's, even though it's been used a lot by some of you, it's not necessarily something that everybody would use. And so I think that it would be better as a plugin, even if it was 80% of projects use this plugin, or something like that. I guess, does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from there. And so far as putting this as part of the requirements of the spec to be implemented could be obtuse for developers. But perhaps it could be an optional endpoint or a plugin, and I think both of those are valid options.
Well, and in general, getting the plugin system up and running, I think, is a much bigger priority overall. Just because there's other things that we want to get done, that we want to get implemented. We want to be able to have authentication or WebSocket support or whatever it is. If we can get a plugin system up and running with this V2, then I think anything like this concept thing would be really useful and available. So.
I want to say Swifty, since you proposed this, would you mind creating the issues on the GitHub, kind of detailing what you kind of are thinking about? Optionally, with some sample code would really be beneficial, like sample YAML file that is a schema. And we can kind of we don't have to decide now in this meeting. We can kind of post it in kind of social media to see what people think. And also would love to hear not just the spec, but also would love to hear a detailed example of why you think that this is necessary. What are the things that you encountered that you think that warrants this? And same with Jon, actually. You guys seem to be somewhat aligned on the need for this, and I do want to listen to the community and kind of do what's the best for the community. So how does that sound?
Yes, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, I'm interested in following. I don't know if I would suggest to add this right now to the protocol, but I also am not sure.
Yeah, I think what's helpful is to kind of write down like what like with this new feature, what additional thing it unlocks for you. It makes how much easier it makes your life as an agent developer. I think that's helpful to kind of hear about.
Yeah, I understand. I'm happy to go and do that for you guys.
And also, if possible, writing down when it doesn't help as an agent developer. Like when does it not? You know, if that makes sense. And so, I mean, yeah. Sorry. That's get both sides right.
Yeah, we don't want to burden, I guess, new developers from adopting the simpler protocol by adding things.
Yeah, good point. Good point. So with that, like, I think I should follow up with Charles and John. You guys kind of wrote your name down on the agenda for tutorials and use cases. I guess since we haven't made any langchain update, we can kind of work on this week. I will try my best because I think I mentioned to some of you guys that I just tested positive for COVID, so I just got Paxlovid, so hopefully I'll be able to recover soon. But yeah, so we'll do my best to do the langchain thing. This is a really good discussion. I think once we have the issues, we can ask for more community feedback. Any other things that's kind of on your mind on any